From the heart of Dubai, where tomorrow is being built today, to the world. Welcome to the CTO Show with Mehmet. Here, we redefine technology and reimagine possibilities. With Mehmet, delve into the riveting realms of AI, cybersecurity, and digital technology. Experience the thrilling highs and lows of startups. Immerse yourself in the spirit of entrepreneurship and witness the future of business innovation being written in real time. Now, without further ado, let's tune in and explore the future.
Hello and welcome back to a new episode of the CTO Show with Mehmet. Today I'm very pleased joining me, Rishab, Chandra. Rishab, thank you very much for joining the show today. The way I love to do it, I keep it to my guests to introduce themselves. So the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mehmet, for having me. Absolute pleasure to be here. I am Rishab. I am the CTO and co-founder of TaskTracker Pvt. You can visit us at TaskTracker.io. We have founded, we are a 2-year-old startup. We are based out of India and the UAE. We have offices in New Delhi as well as in Dubai. We have over 7,000 businesses on our platform. A little about myself. I've done my undergrad from Iowa State in the US and then my MBA at UMass Amherst. Worked in the US for around 7 years in SaaS and technology, building catastrophe modeling software, building software for malpractice insurance at one point of time. And after making our big move, we were part of, we founded an IT company which we scaled up to about 85 employees and which was servicing clients, across the globe. And that's when, we found a problem statement on how can a SME actually leverage technology and improve its efficiency and productivity, which eventually would lead to, higher profits. So, in a nutshell, the aim was to build something which is simple, which is smart, and can be adopted by anybody, irrespective of what your digital, acumen is. So that's that's me.
Yeah, great. And thank you again, Rishab, for being on the show today. Now, I want to start because, I'm very passionate about startups, and the whole idea of the show is to showcase people like yourself who develop such great products and services for the rest of us to use. So if you can explain to me, where did you see, how actually did you come up that I need to come up with TaskTracker.io? What was the trigger for you? And I know you're coming from both a technical and business background, so I'm sure that you have seen something missing in the market. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
Sure. So actually, this dates back pre-COVID. Like I was mentioning, we had a services company where we had about 85 people. Soon I realized that, we were struggling on how to manage our workforce. And my day would begin. My first question would be, has someone reported into office or not, right? And I don't know, we still have these clunky biometrics that I had to wait for HR to come and plug it in and then download the information. And eventually, by the time that information came, it was too late. Correct? You couldn't be waiting around. So I think there has to be a better way to do this. But the bigger issue for me and my co-founder, who is also I'm actually my better half. Me and her, we've always been a family-owned business, and we realized that we used to be just on the phone all day, just doing follow-ups, and that was something that became quite annoying because you're not focusing on business development. You just get stuck from the time you walk in till the time you leave. Either you're in meetings or you're following up with people, right? And soon, what I realized was that, this follow-up was just not with the technical teams, but also with, say, your HR, say with your accounts, right? With your admin. And some of these tasks were not which required a lot of, technical knowledge or know-how or needed, people to collaborate. They were just linear, straightforward tasks. So I'm like, okay, there has to be something better, right, for us to
Hmm.
sort of manage, because literally what we wanted was a reminder. Uh, and then we said, okay, I had worked in the US, enough, had interacted with a bunch of clients in Europe as well. We went to some of the tools, which I will not name, but we went back to the traditional tools and we realized, either those are for bug tracking or that's for project management and collaboration,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now, now think about it. Now think about an IT company which is based out of India, fairly digitally literate, but at the same time, we had 50% of our team which wasn't as digitally literate, right? And I would include myself as well, right? Might be really good in implementing and talking about technology, but when it actually came down to using it was fairly difficult and extremely, extremely expensive as well. That's the gap that we saw, that we need a simple linear tool which can be implemented in about 10 to 15 minutes max and is smart enough to do task delegation. Then the story goes on. I got COVID. I was hospitalized. And then I was like, I need to do something bigger. We need to empower people. And that's when we came back and we did a little more research and we developed the first version, which actually was a form, which would send you an email. And the next day it would send you another email telling you you had these tasks due. So that was what, we started off with. And then, we got great traction. I still remember talking to my first 10 clients, we said, hey, just adopt it. Tell us what you think. And they
Yeah.
absolutely love it. So in about 24 months, now we're sitting on 7,000 businesses. And of course, the product has evolved and now we have a sales tracker as well.
That's great. I loved one thing you mentioned, Rishab. So you started very simple. I think your MVP was just a form and an email. And because you are a CTO and this is it's the CTO show, I always tell people I speak with, keep it simple at the beginning. How it's
Correct.
important to keep it simple, Rishab.
Correct.
And then, tell me, okay, once I validate, I'm sure that you have validated your idea using the form and you get your first 10 or so clients. And then you decide, okay, I need to have this tech stack or I need to have this tech stack. So take me into this journey, about how first, from your perspective, keeping it simple, how it helped you, and then how did you choose to take the road with one specific uh, tech stack.
So, Mehmet, you will be surprised. That's the most difficult part, actually, is to keep it simple. And I keep on telling myself, I keep on telling the team. Sometimes I even tell my clients this, right? We are a simple tool. You want the bells and the whistles, and you want something noisy with, where you can drag and drop and create your workflows. There's enough available out there, right? We want to be your first step towards digitization. We want to take all your mom and pop businesses. We want to take all your SMEs and say, use technology which is simple, which is affordable, and give you some great customer support. So that's one more thing that we do is, we actually handhold you to get implemented. Same thing we have done with our tech stack. You would be surprised. The whole application, we have used PHP Code Igniter as the tech stack. We did not go crazy, right? We kept everything open source so that, we don't get into any sort of, number one, we did not want to get licenses and we wanted to keep the costs low. But the most important was also to find the right resources. When you're a startup, when you're standing out, you really don't need fancy stuff. And eventually, the way we have developed, Task Tracker and Sales Tracker, the way it has evolved, it is just basically simple encrypted data, which does, back and forth on our cloud servers, right? So our tech stack is extremely, extremely simple. People sometimes, I wish I could come and say that I'm using ROR and then I'm using I'm using Python and we are on an Oracle database. Till most recently we used to just sit on GoDaddy. I'm sure heard of that. So we have kept our costs very low, and now of course we migrated to AWS. But and in AWS also, what I tell people is keep your costs. People come and show me, bills of 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs, in rupees, 100,000 or 200,000. And I tell them, hey, you need to use light sale boxes, which AWS really does not propagate, but it's there, right? So for a fixed cost, you get that same technology. And then, as you scale and when you really need that power, then you need to leverage into it. So, we always believe in keeping, from our workflow to our technology, very, very simple. Our apps are still in native because I find those the more stable. We actually burned our hands, trying to use Flutter and things like that. And we said, okay, we'll make one and then we'll migrate it over. But unfortunately, that didn't work out. So, we went back to native, and that's what we use, and we are extremely happy so far. And
I'm very glad. Yeah, yeah, I'm very glad, Rishab, you mentioned this because, takeaways for people who are listening or watching us, and Rishab is coming from a very deep technical background. So he kept it simple. And because at the beginning, you need to save the cost as much as possible till you have traction, and don't build the whole feature set in day one, right? So keep it as simple as possible. Now,
right.
Rishab, like
It's
you're
an
giving
iterative
hit,
process. We keep on laughing.
yeah, yeah. So I wanted to ask
Sorry,
you,
go ahead.
yeah, sure. Now you talked about the problem and you talked about, how you solve it out. Now, how do you think, such product and, from your experience, you can deal with, I would say, markets which are highly digitally aware, right? Because our mobile internet is becoming, everyone has access to it. So was this an advantage for you? And if you are planning to start again from the beginning, how much is this digital awareness important in the journey?
See, digital awareness is extremely important. Of course, when we enter into an economy which is digitally aware, it actually makes it much easier for us. See, today, one thing, the only silver lining that came out of that deadly thing called COVID was that we realized that technology now needs to be harnessed for us to do business. Correct. The internet was already there. People were already on the web. Soon you realize that, hey, if I could use technology and also manage my people, then, rather walking over to their desk. Today, I think it is now not going to be work from home or work from office. It's always now going to be hybrid. Uh, and for that to succeed, you need technology which can be implemented. Correct. Then you come into the whole point that, okay, now that we have the technology, people are digitally aware. What is the next step? Is now comes into the whole usability standpoint. When you're looking at, we look at an organization as a whole, right? We do not look at it as a technical team or a non-technical team. Everyone needs to harness technology for the business to grow. Your accounting is as important as your HR, as your developers, as your salespeople. Everyone is a key aspect in running a successful business, right? And that's where we come
True.
in and be like, use technology. You are digitally aware. Now we are going to give you a tool which is extremely affordable, very simple, very quick to get implemented, and it starts giving you instant results. So, it works on both ends. You can be as, digitally progressed as a country or as an economy, but, you will always find the professional services businesses who are still always, extremely skeptical about technology. One of the things, that I follow is that every time I spoke to an IT person, when I was on the other side of the table, uh, it would be the costs would be huge. The implementation, would be extremely complicated. People would not like it because, of course, no one likes change today. And eventually we were told that, for us to implement the tool, we would need one more person to sort of manage it, right? So how are you being efficient?
Yeah. But why do you think that, Rishab? Like, just out of curiosity, this question came to my mind. Um, and the surprise is, as you mentioned, usually we get this from people who are like us working in technology, not the end user. Why do you think is that?
See, I think, I think I feel as a technocrat, we all like to wear a bravado, right? We are experts. And
Yes.
I think that's one of the things that sort of fuels this, right? And then that's what we are trying to change, right? We actually want to democratize the technical adoption. And this could be a developed market, like the UAE. It could be a developing market like India. We actually, or we can even go to, say, North America. One of the big, geographies that we see is Latin America, which is again growing.
Right.
A simple tool like WhatsApp is, everyone is doing business on WhatsApp. Now, can we leverage that? Can we come up with a solution which would sort of bridge the gap uh, and, provide some sort of benefits to the business? And I've had a bunch of CTOs come and tell me, hey, I can make this. I'm like, please go ahead. Then they come back, they again take the trial and go, because, I think we get so torn. Like our clients come back and say, hey, I need this, I need that. I said, we don't do that. We
Hmm.
do AB. First do ABC well, do it for 3 years. Believe me, then you can move on to a whole bunch of places where people will do it from A to Z. You can do A, D, F, whatever the hell you want. You can create your workflows the way you like.
Yeah, and if you allow me, Rishab, like I want to add something here. I believe the biggest problem is still for somehow we become so attached to the technology as technologists, and
Right.
we don't want to change. And like this is what I tell everyone. I work, in consultancy roles, different companies on over the year, and I saw this trend coming up because we think once we choose a technology, it's a, I don't want to call it a shame, but it's look like, oh, so that you are telling me I was wrong 5 years back. And I'm saying, no, I'm not telling you you were wrong 5 years back. I'm telling you that things changed and things
Correct.
now are being done in a different way. And this is how it's done properly today. And I'm not saying again, like whatever you are using today, from whether it's a technology or you're using an ad hoc method, for example, like for tracking the tasks, right? So this is one of the things that you do. So I'm not telling you like doing it in paper and pen is wrong, but it's slow and it can affect customer
Right.
satisfaction. So look, you have another solution here today. So yeah, 100% agree with you on that.
No, no,
Now,
and I totally, agree with you. I think we get so personally, evolved. It becomes like our, lack of a better term, it becomes like our own baby, right?
yes,
And you just want, you just want everyone to say, hey, you have the cutest baby. So you want everyone to say, hey, you have the best technology. And I'll just add one last point to that thought of yours is it's not that what we are doing today will not, that also might become redundant. Correct.
correct,
Today you see any of the big, the big fours, from Apple to Google to Meta, they have all evolved with time. They are not what they were 5 years back. 5 years, I feel, is like, now, maybe 20 years, the way,
correct.
technology is changing, and with AI and all the cool things which are happening. So yeah, totally agree with
Yeah, we'll come to that. And, because now when I'm asking someone, what do you expect in the future? And, back in the days, we used to say, well, how do you expect things to become in the next 5 to 10 years? And now we have to maybe ask how things are going to be changed in the 12 to 18 months.
you.
Now,
Correct.
you mentioned WhatsApp, right? You mentioned WhatsApp, and this has attracted me. So, are you able to integrate with WhatsApp and the other, messaging and communication tools?
Yes, yes, we do. So, and that's what we do. So we actually automatically integrate into it. So again, with the and I think we have repeated this enough, but I'll just say it once. In the interest of keeping it simple and adoptable, a business, when they sign on, it automatically integrates into their WhatsApp number, irrespective of your location, and you get your notifications and your reminders on that. See, today the other issue, now drilling a little deeper, is when a business is trying to automate. What they do is they use a lot of WhatsApp groups, right? I can challenge anybody, give a task in the morning, and in the evening, if you can tell me, if it's an active group, that what is the status, or even find that task. I know you can search, but it is extremely cumbersome. You don't even do that. You don't even remember. correct?
Right.
But we still realize that WhatsApp is something which has become extremely invasive. It has huge adoptability. Organizations, businesses, personal, professional, everything runs on WhatsApp today. So we have leveraged that to just sort of notify you and remind you. Then what we have also done is one of the problems that we are trying to solve is a lot of the time we have told, when your team member goes home, right? In especially developing economies, and especially if you're in the rural part, uh, you might not have electricity. You might not able to charge your laptop, right? You might not be able to get internet, but your phone is one of the most connected devices, right? So that's how we are able to actually still reach that person and tell him, hey, you need this work to be done. Or,
Yeah.
there is a document which is extremely critical, which is due. It just comes on his WhatsApp at 9 a.m. in the morning. And I keep on joking again, with my clients is, people can fight with the wife, they can fight with their partner, they can fight with their girlfriend, but no one ever fights with WhatsApp, right? You are always on it.
No,
So yeah,
no. Yeah, to your point, just the other day I had some guests from the US and they were surprised. They were telling me, guys, like you do all your business on WhatsApp because I said, yeah, like sometimes even I remember myself a couple of years back replying to requests for proposals over WhatsApp, right? And
right.
people say, how do you track it, right? So it was a challenge for me because email you can always go search and
And look at
find
that
out.
thread. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
WhatsApp and other messaging tools make it more hard for tracking, but at the same time, it's so convenient because if I want from you, like let's say, Rishab, ask you something very quickly, and I can just text you in just 2 seconds, literally, and I get my answer. Now,
Yes.
one thing I want to ask you because you are in the SaaS economy, right? And
Yes.
SaaS economy is the dominant economy, especially when it comes to technology services. How are you seeing the adoption, both in the UAE and other developing economies? Because I'm not sure if you're seeing this, but what now still when I talk to someone, they don't like it much. And the reason they
Right.
don't like it much is not the cost or the price tag of the service per month, but it's the whole idea that, I'm using something which is not owned by me. So what are you seeing in that space, Rishab?
So then you're extremely right again. People have those reservations, right? So now we have done two things. We offer annual plans, and this is something that we have been actually inspired by Microsoft. If you now go by your MS Office, you need to pay it for the year. You get all the apps on it. It's up to you. You use Word or Excel or whatever else, PowerPoint. They don't ask you how much you're using it. You just pay it once a year, and you're done. That's one of the things that we've adopted. So people like that, right? So it's literally like you pay once and then you are done. Especially in the developing economy, that's what we are doing because the whole credit card and recurring payments can become an issue. People are very wary. So we tell them you just need to pay us once, and then next year we'll come back to you and ask if you still want to continue or not. The second part, like you rightly said, is that people are like, okay, I don't own this. What about my data? People are extremely sensitive about their data the way they should be, and we give them an option to export that at their will. So that actually just takes care of those two issues. So that actually puts them at rest that hey, I really just need to choose my filters and I can export this whole thing into an Excel and my data is with me. Number one. And if I don't want to have this headache of paying every month and people coming to me at at various points of time, we just offer them an annual plan. And I think that has worked for us in the developing economy as well as in the UAE uh, as well. So we say, okay, you can take our trial. We even give you extension if it's actually needed, and if we actually think that the client is genuine, and then they can just make yearly payment.
I saw Rishab some, and by the way, I saw it on a global level. Still, some vendors or some providers, let's call them this way, they offer a lifetime license. Do you
Correct.
think they do this is just for satisfying the needs of such demanding customer, or they do this just for the cash flow?
I think they do it for, I don't think it's a cash flow issue because, you're just getting paid once, right? So it's not that you're going to get that money again and again. I think for me, unfortunately, I find those, no offense to anybody, I find that as a sales gimmick because soon you'll realize that, they would charge you more than that. Hey, we've got a newer version now, right? Now you have to pay for the upgrade, or after 2 years, they come out with an updated version, which you have to go buy the additional license. Usually, what happens is that if you have a lifetime license, that version will work. And with the changing technology, after 3 years or 5 years, that version would not work. And more importantly, your needs as a business changes, right? I don't think you'll use TaskTracker IO forever, or you would use, uh, you know, any other tool that you use, say, for your marketing or your sales forever, right? You might grow as an organization. You might, grow into a different market where some of this would not work. Your dynamics of your business might change. So, I am not a big proponent of, I find it as a sales gimmick.
Yeah, 100%. And like when people comes and ask me about my opinion in SaaS in general, I tell them, at the beginning, yeah, of course, because I come from the other side of the table as well. I was the customer. And yeah,
Right.
I want to buy this license key. I want to see this license key. I want to have control
Right.
of it. But from personal experience, when I shifted from buying a car to a leasing model, then I started to discover my benefits. And I think the SaaS
Correct.
model is successful because first, you are not tied to forever, as you said. You can change. Second, it's more flexible. Third, usually like majority of the time, this license fee it has inside the support, or maybe they would add some small cap on top of it to have it. So I believe maybe we need to, it's my opinion, maybe we need to educate procurement more about the SaaS model, because
Correct.
procurement, unfortunately, and I'm talking about not all of them, but majority of the time, still they have this mentality of, yeah, I want to buy perpetual licenses, and then I want
Correct.
to pay, you yearly support. And I always go and tell them, yeah, I get you what you're coming from, but actually, if we do the calculation on pen and paper, if you go with subscription model, you're gonna be saving on the long run, 3, 4, 5 years
Right.
down the road, you'll be saving more, right, Rishab?
Right. Right. Number one, you save more, plus you have the latest and the greatest at all times. Right. Third, today it is in my interest to make sure that anyone who holds my license and is paying me, annually or monthly or quarterly has the best experience, because tomorrow they have the option of not paying me. Right.
Yeah,
So that actually keeps people like us on the edge, making sure that the customer is satisfied and the product is superior and definitely delivers more than what it promises. Right. So I
yeah,
think these are softer benefits that people don't, realize. I bought a few of these, where they say, hey, we'll convert your, Word document into PDF forever, and we'll unzip it. Soon I realized, like, I have upgraded my phone or upgraded my laptop, or, it will not work on a Mac, and you have no support because the money is already gone, and they're like, yeah, when we gave it to you, it worked, and that's about it.
yeah. And for me, even on the personal level, the nice thing is that I can control. So if 1 month I feel I don't need to use this tool, so I can
Correct.
stop it or pause it, which majority of the
Right.
providers, they give you this option, so you can pause your subscription maybe for 2 months because you're gonna go on vacation, or maybe now we are focusing on something else. So this is something you cannot do it when you buy the license, which is 100%
Correct.
true. Now you touched base, Rishab, a couple of minutes back on AI and what's happening in that space. So from both perspective regarding the domain that you focus on, which is tracking tasks and so on, and in general. And again, I'm not asking you on long term. Like what are we seeing in this space? And are you also using AI in your product as well, or are you
Yes.
planning to?
Yeah. So we have just completed our model, which is actually in testing right now and getting integrated with AWS. Number one, I feel, AI is a great, it's the next big thing. It's a great tech revolution. I don't want to get into that. I think a lot of people talk about that. There's enough noise. Specifically, to talking about in what we do is basically we are using AI to make our tools smarter. Now,
Mhm.
what the tool does is we have developed an engine. It's on its third version. Based on the task that you're entering, it starts learning the sort of tasks and organization put. So it, in a way, creates sort of a template for you. And now when you log in and as soon as you type in one word, the engine automatically knows what's most likely the task that you're going to assign, and it just does it on your behalf. So the cure, what we're trying to cure is also user laziness, because we are in the business that if I don't delegate correctly, I would not get the benefits, right? So now how can I make this delegation easy? So hence we are using AI. Plus, we see SMEs today using AI to help improve their efficiency. We are seeing SMEs use AI for better customer insights. We are seeing SMEs using AI to actually do better analysis as well for them, because that's always been a challenge that, when you're a team of let's say about 20, 25 people, it's hard to sort of get a data analyst who's sitting there and giving you reports. But today an AI can help you do that. So we definitely see a huge revolution in this space with AI coming and just making the whole usability so much easier, right?
Yeah, 100%. And as you mentioned, like it is the thing now regarding the AI. And yeah, and I'm happy you mentioned about SMEs, because on personal level, I'm biased towards SMEs, because people, they forget always that SMEs makes you know huge chunk of any economy, right? And
Oh
especially in
yes,
our,
oh yes,
yeah, especially
yes,
in our areas. Like I know in India, it's the same story. Here in the UAE, it's the same story. Across the Gulf region, it's the same story. And I love to support them, and I'm happy that you mentioned SMEs multiple times and you focus on SMEs. Now, as we are coming a little bit to an end, Rishab, it's something not technology related, but maybe startup ish related, I would say.
or
I've seen, like you took the approach of bootstrapping the business, and you didn't take the approach of, reaching like big funds and so on. First of all, why do you think this was the right um, choice for you? And second, for fellow startups and fellow founders, if you can tell them, shed the light, I would say, on this part, because I receive a lot, as someone who's into the startup now
right,
consultancy, and I work with a lot of others. I receive, these pitch decks full of,
that
many things,
right.
and they are asking for the millions. What you can tell us regarding this?
See, I think the, the the easiest way to answer is at the end of the day, what are we building? Yes, all entrepreneurs have a lot of passion, right? All entrepreneurs have a lot of drive. But can you build a business? That's what needs to be the question that you need to ask yourself uh, pretty much every day, correct? Is someone buying my solution? Correct. If someone buys a solution, then they will pay for it. Correct. Uh, yes, you need capital upfront, like any other business would. That's when you go get investors, and that's what we did. We bootstrapped, we built an MVP, we brought people on board, and then we said, hey, right now I'm growing at 5x. With a little bit of capital infusion, I can grow to 10x. That's what I tell everybody that, sometimes money can be extremely difficult to manage as well. You can scale, but if you actually look at your unit economics or you go back and start looking at your financials, you will see that, my customer acquisition, I'm spending $100 to acquire a customer while I only get $1 on the revenue, right? And that's a big problem. We have investors, we have taken money from outside, but we have been extremely conscientious of doing so. Now, then I'll now switch gears and talk about, say, today, Task Tracker becomes, one of the biggest, hottest startups, and Ortlisane comes and says, I want to, acquire you. After the amount of hard work and sacrifices that we founders do, you do need to, you do want a good exit. Now, if you start diluting on day one upfront, by the
Mm.
end of it, you will not be left with much. And the most important thing is at the end of the day, uh, you know, from an entrepreneur, it is my vision that I'm building out, good or bad or ugly or the worst. We're not getting into that debate, but at the end of the day, it's my vision. And when
Right.
you get too many people involved, then you start getting stretched into all these different spaces. So I'm one of those people that we like to follow our gut and our vision, and we have conviction that that's the path that we want to follow. So that is why what I tell startups is yes, take some seed money. Yes, we all have our own expenses, personal and professional, but funding is not the be all and end all, right? If your business does well, the money will flow.
100%. And thank you for sharing this. And my just to complete or to continue on what you mentioned, Rishab. Um, and by the way, for the sake of transparency, like I am not a startup founder. I am now a startup founder. I was not a startup founder, but I work
Right.
with a lot of startups. And the thing because I read and I see the most successful ones is exactly the ones who did what you just mentioned. So there are some terms, maybe we can cover them into another episode or maybe on a webinar or
Sure.
something like this. But the thing that Rishab mentioned now, they are key. First, know what you are solving, be passionate about solving this problem for your customer, price it well in the marketplace, calculate your what they call it the burn rate,
Right.
your CAC, which is customer acquisition cost versus the price that you are selling. And then, do all the calculation backwards. And then see at what point, if you want to scale, as you mentioned, Rishab, because you took like these funds, not for the sake of being having, the funds, but to scale the business. And you scaled
Yes.
in just very short time to more than 7,000 customers, which is brilliant, actually. So thank you for sharing this. And then, what I wanted to say, yeah, follow your gut, as Rishab mentioned, and you will be there. Don't be and unfortunately, I understand the doom and gloom which is out there, and what you see, people raising series A, series B, these big money. Unfortunately, we see like still 80% or 90% even sometimes they don't do it to the year 2 or year 3. So calculate your steps and don't fall into the trap. It's okay. I know that finding funds is not easy, even the seed one and the pre-seed one. This is why, also part of what I'm trying to do is to change this. But be on the path, similar to what Rishab have done. I love this story, Rishab. Really, I enjoyed listening this from you. Now, before we close, anything you wished I had asked you or any point you want to tell us before we end?
I think no, I think it's been a great conversation, and just wanted to thank you for having me on the show.
My pleasure.
I think the only thing I would end with is let's not complicate technology. My request to everybody is keep it simple, keep it adoptable. There is so much we can do, and sometimes going after the smaller the lower end of the pyramid is difficult, but it is extremely rewarding because that's a huge market across the globe. And irrespective of it's a developed, not so developed. If you can give a solution which actually resonates with people, I strongly feel it would be a super hit. And again, thank you so much for having me.
It was my pleasure, Rishab, to have you today. And I learned a lot also myself. And the guys, I advise you to check TaskTracker.io and see the work that Rishab and his team have done over there. Uh, And again, thank you, Rishab, very much for being here today. And as usual, this is how we end the show. So I hope you enjoyed, whether you're listening or watching this. I would love to hear your feedback and keep the feedbacks coming. As you are seeing lately, we are trying to little bit mix, the topics. So from, the technical stuff to the startup, mentality, and we are discussing health, we're discussing multiple topics. So please let me know if you feel there's a topic that we should shed light more on. I would love to hear. Also, if you're interested yourself to be a guest on the show, don't hesitate. If you have a story to share, you are a startup founder yourself and you have built something, and you think you deserve to let the others know about it, also reach out to me. And as usual, thank you very much for tuning in. We'll meet again very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hit that subscribe button, share the show with your tech-savvy friends and fellow entrepreneurs, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app. Your support means the world to us.